giving it tenderness and extra flavor. Another term for marbling is intramuscular fat. Back to the beef grades. Following prime is choice. Choice beef is high quality but has less marbling than prime. Following choice is select. Select beef is uniform in quality and typically leaner than the higher grades. Grades below select are standard and commercial, which are often sold as ungraded or store brand meat. The grades of beef that don't make it to the store are utility, cutter, and canner. For many of the leaner beef cuts you buy at the store, it's recommended to use a cooking method that introduces moisture and cooks the meat longer at a lower temperature, such as braising. It's also worth looking for the USDA grading symbol. Retailers can call lesser grades of meat whatever they like, so be sure to look for that symbol. Choice, select, and standard are the typical USDA grades of beef you buy at the grocery store. Beef is a healthy choice full of protein, iron, and other nutrients. I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield.
I'm Alejandro Escobedo. Music has always been my life, but that was almost taken away from me by hepatitis C. Thankfully, I received treatment and stopped cancer before it started. Yes, cancer. Most people don't know there's a link between certain viruses and cancer. I didn't know, but I do now, and so should you. That's why I've partnered with the Prevent Cancer Foundation. The 3 most common viruses linked to cancer are human papillomavirus, or HPV, hepatitis B, and hepatitis C. Every year, more than 27,000 men and women are diagnosed with a cancer caused by HPV, and up to 65% of all liver cancers are caused by Hep B or C. These cancers are preventable. Getting screened, vaccinated, and treated isn't scary, but cancer is. For more information, visit thinkaboutthelink.org. Together, we can stop cancer before it starts.
Weed control that works. Hello, I'm Megan Grebner, and this is Managing for Profit on Brownfield, a content partnership with the Enlist Weed Control System. 2019 was the first widespread planting of Enlist E3 soybeans, and farmers are talking. In this Managing for Profit, Shauna Hubbard, Trait Herbicide Product Manager, takes a look back at the 2019 growing season and offers some thoughts about the outlook for Enlist for 2020. We'll find out more on Brownfield right after this.
More than 5 million Americans live with Alzheimer's disease today, and the number is expected to triple by the year 2050. Hi, I'm Diane Alexander, Executive Director of Women in Government. Alzheimer's is one of the most vexing scientific and medical challenges of our time, and we still have much to learn about it. But there's hope. America's biopharmaceutical research companies are dedicated to discovering and developing new medicines for patients, and they currently have 77 medicines in development for the treatment of Alzheimer's. The work these companies do has already contributed to the remarkable progress that's been made in the fight against chronic disease. The development of new innovative medicines has caused cancer death rates to decline 23%, transformed HIV and AIDS from an acute fatal illness into a manageable disease, and provided cure rates of more than 90% for hepatitis C. Our members support the 854,000 biopharmaceutical sector employees working in the U.S. to continue to meet and beat our biggest health challenges. Learn more at FromHopeToCures.org.
This was the first year for widespread planting of Enlist E3 soybeans, and Shauna Hubbard, Trait Herbicide Product Manager at Corteva AgriScience, says they're hearing good things.
Farmer reaction to Enlist E3 soybeans has been very positive. Of course, they get herbicide tolerance with E3 beans to 2,4-D-choline in Enlist herbicides, glyphosate, and glufosinate. And what we saw in 2019 is that the results with weed control really make their decision ahead of time for 2020. When folks try Enlist, they like it, and that's a lot of what we saw this year. Expectations around weed control were met and exceeded with Enlist herbicides on Enlist E3 beans. And then farmers and applicators really find that the ease of use of Enlist herbicides on those crops is very attractive. They can feel confident that when they spray, that spray is going to stay put, and that brings a lot of peace of mind. From a weed control perspective, we're seeing a lot of use of Enlist 1 plus glufosinate in a tank mix, as well as Enlist 1 plus glufosinate products and layered residuals, so that tank mix flexibility really comes into play as well as we think about doing a spray on that acre that's tailored to the weed spectrum and situation that we have. So I'd say really great results for 2019. Good setup for the 2020 season for the Enlist system.
She tells Brownfield demand for Enlist crops is expected to increase again in 2020.
Corteva is conservatively estimating that Enlist E3 soybeans will be at least 10% of the U.S. market share for soybeans. So great growth for us. And then lastly, I would say we heard from our farmers who had commercial E3 fields that they were turning quite a few heads as neighbors drove by and wanted to know what was going on in those fields. Why did they look so clean? So really great experiences in 2019. Again, setting us up well for a lot of growth during the 2020 season. And for us, it's all about bringing that solution to more farmers who are looking for a new tool for weed control.
I'm Megan Grebner with Managing for Profit on Brownfield, a content partnership with the Enlist Weed Control System.
Funeral directors are there to provide confidence, calming presence, and comforting words to help families grieve the loss of a loved one. The staff at Loffersweiler's Funeral Home raises the bar even higher. They can take care of the smallest details. They're the calm voice of reason and sometimes a very much needed shoulder to cry on. The staff at Loffersweiler's is here when you need them. They're ready to help you organize a beautiful, respectful service. Loffersweiler Funeral Home, Fort Dodge, serving families like yours since 1856.
Real travel is life-changing. With Trafalgar, you'll discover the best way to travel and connect with the culture, people, and places you visit. You'll travel with the freedom to discover and the confidence to explore. With over 300 trips on all 7 continents, you get real experiences that you won't find elsewhere. These are just a few of the greatest travel stories you'll ever tell. Save up to 10% on trips. Terms and conditions apply. Visit your travel agent or Trafalgar.com. Trafalgar, simply the best.
Dispatch, medevac air transport to I-90. Car on fire. Unknown casualties.
When minutes matter, and the ER is too far away, air emergency care could save your life. But insurance companies don't count your minutes, they count your money. Tell your member of Congress to fight the insurance companies.
Paid for by Alliance for Access to Critical Care.
Michael Devine at AM 1400.
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
With 60 rounds of freedom.
I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. And he says, he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester. And it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity, allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
At AM 1400 KVFD.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. Thanks for listening, first of all. And don't forget the candidate debate. I don't know if you'd call it a debate. It's a forum, I guess, more than a debate. This is Sharon Hickey's group, Webster County People Acting Responsible. I think if I'm screwing that up, I'm sorry. I apologize to Sharon and her group. By the way, they do a great job. Of presenting sometimes difficult issues and rounding up the candidates or the representatives or whoever we need to hear from. They do a great job with that. I'll certainly be there tonight because this conversation about what started out as just a conversation, if we should have city-owned broadband or not. Mediacom has brought out the big guns, boy. They've hired a lobbying firm, and they've employed former State Representative Chip Baltimore to enter the fight and scare people, essentially. Chip wrote a letter to the editor. And I've met Chip. He's a nice guy. He's a lawyer from Boone, but he is working as a lobbyist now. And it's his job, I guess, to run around and scare people over the idea of city-owned broadband. And the Facebook page that these folks, these lobbyist groups that Chip Baltimore works for, it's no government internet or some nonsense like that. You can find it on Facebook. It's a pure scare vehicle. Scare older people. Oh my God, they're going to take what little money I have, and I need internet. That's exactly the reason we're talking about getting city-owned broadband. Mediacom has not been delivering quality service. Their service is expensive, and it seems Mediacom is indifferent to our town and to their customers, and they've been getting away with it. They don't have real competition in our town. And if we want better service and better price, what we need is competition. Nobody's saying that Mediacom has to leave our town. We want them to stay here. Mediacom has said they'll stay here. But we do need competition. Certainly. I think we'll get better service, better price. And what we really have to put an end to is this silliness. Every time you have a problem with your internet or cable TV, you're going to have to wait until a week from next Thursday and sit in your house for 4 hours and maybe we'll get there before 4 hours rolls around. But as I was told here a week or so ago, or 2 weeks ago, well, you know, your time is 8 to 12, Mr. Devine, and if our representative gets there at 12 and starts work, well, that's just the way it is. I guess my time isn't important to Mediacom, and that's the problem we're having. Mediacom's customers are just supposed to send them a check, and if they have outages or a low level of service in certain part of towns, that's just too bad. That's just too bad. And by the way, we're going to talk to Matt Bemrick here. In fact, he's here right now. How you doing there, Matthew?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I haven't seen you for a while.
I've been busy.
All right. What have you been doing? You been down in Florida?
Nope.
Nude beach or something? Or
no. Why, do I look like it?
Actually, you do look like you've been partying for a couple of weeks.
Really?
Yeah. Or you've been working.
Yeah. I've been working.
All
I
right.
was in Chicago last week and for work.
Yes,
stuff.
you were. Where were you the week before? Were you overseas or something?
Well, I was in Kosovo a while back. But I've been here since then because you were calling me
Kosovo kid or whatever.
Yeah, and the international man of mystery or something.
Oh well, I was giving everybody from the city Austin Powers names like Chad is Scott Evil, and David Furrick is Dr. Evil, and Vicky was in here, and I really like Vicky. I always liked her.
She's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Also.
But I went looking at the female names in all the Austin Powers movies. They're all a little bit vulgar.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really couldn't
Don't
hang
go
one
down
up.
that path.
I did. I almost did.
She's too nice of a lady to do that.
Well, she is, and Scott Evil, Dr. Evil, or Matt Bemrick, International Man of Mystery. That's just stuff. But some of these names that they had in those movies were pretty bad. We have a candidate forum tonight.
Yeah.
At the Celebration Room of Friendship Haven. Are you going to go or not?
No.
You're not going to go. You're not running for re-election.
Well, yeah, I'm not because I'm halfway through my term. And to be honest, the few of those I've gone to where I was not a participant in the forum, somehow I ended up getting asked to answer questions.
Well, because nobody else knew the answer, I
yeah,
suppose.
but that's not what I'm there for. I mean, so the last one I went to out at the Bioscience Center, I sat all the way in the back up in the top of the bleachers, and I got out of that one without answering
You avoided
any
it.
questions. Yeah.
Well, Councilman Allstott and Councilman Menke, who are not running for re-election, or I think Menke is, but he's unopposed.
They are running. They're both just running unopposed.
All right. So they're going to show up tonight. I suppose they're going to debate each other.
I don't know.
But, yeah, that's right. They are running. Are they both running unopposed?
I believe so, yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I don't think they'll have a problem. It would really be weird if they got beat by write-ins. Yeah, it really would be.
That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, we have Andy Fritz trying to return to the council.
Yeah.
He looks older than you, but actually he's a year younger.
He's a year younger, yes.
Yeah. He's probably lived a rougher life.
He's a little grayer than I am.
Quite a bit grayer.
Well, his beard's gray. Mine's still dark.
Yeah.
I should say darker.
Well, his Andy's mostly gray now.
Yeah.
He really got gray here in just the last year or two, I think.
Yeah, if you see pictures of Andy when he first got on the council, he looks way younger than he
his hair was brown.
But oddly enough, this joke was somebody was messing with me the other day. The picture they use of me, the headshot in the messenger, is from when I ran for office when I was 31 years old. So I look way younger in my picture also.
4 o'clock in the afternoon. Our number here is 515-955-1400. If you'd like to ask the mayor a question, that's coming up right after the news. Thanks for listening.
This is Gary Rima, the voice of the UNI Panthers, and you can listen to exciting Panther sports right here on the Voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400, KVFD.
Republicans make a stand on Capitol Hill. Lisa Brady, Fox News. Top GOP senators are demanding that House Democrats change course in the impeachment probe. Fox's Jared Halpern is live on the Hill.
A resolution sponsored by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham demands a House vote authorizing an impeachment inquiry, giving President Trump the ability to confront accusers and call witnesses on his behalf.
This is a rogue action by a single committee of the House that has never done impeachment inquiries before, and I think it's dangerous to the presidency.
Republicans have increasingly voiced frustration over what they see as a closed-door, unfair process. Democratic leaders insist closed-door depositions are the first stage of the inquiry and plan to release transcripts and hold open hearings. Lisa.
Thanks, Jared. Well, for a little while today, both parties were on the same page, paying tribute to Democratic Congressman Elijah Cummings.
I have called him our North Star, our guide to a better future for our children.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi leading what she called a celebration of life in the old House chamber, with Cummings lying in state.
You know, he had a smile that would consume his whole face. You know that. But he also had eyes that would pierce through anybody that was standing in his way.
North Carolina Republican Mark Meadows tearfully recalling his unexpected friendship with Cummings, whose funeral is tomorrow in Baltimore. A wildfire spreading fast in Northern California.
The fire turned out to be fueled by what we believe to be about 60-mile-an-hour winds, plus or minus. And the terrain up there in that area is really rugged.
CAL FIRE Instant Commander Mike Parks says evacuations and planned blackouts continue. That fire in Sonoma County grew quickly to more than 15 square miles after breaking out late last night. America is listening to Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Let's talk credit card debt for a minute. If you feel you're carrying too much of it, you're not alone. The average household in the U.S. carries over $8,000 in credit card debt. Ready for some good news? With a cash-out refinance from Quicken Loans, you can quickly and easily put some of the equity in your home to good use by paying off a lot of that high-interest credit card debt. A great way to take cash out is with our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.99%, APR 4.08%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN to learn how taking cash out with a 30-year fixed mortgage might be the right solution for you. And for a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rates subject to change. Pay 1.25% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Former President Jimmy Carter is out of the hospital.
The Carter Center said in a statement that the former president has been released from a hospital and was recovering at his home in Plains, Georgia. The 39th U.S. president was treated after fracturing his pelvis in a recent fall. This is the third time Carter has fallen in recent months. He first fell in the spring and required hip replacement surgery. Carter fell again earlier this month and, despite receiving 14 stitches, traveled the same day to Nashville to rally volunteers and later to help build a Habitat for Humanity home. The 95-year-old Carter is the oldest living former U.S. president. At the White House, John Decker, Fox News.
The number of people over age 65 in the U.S. is expected to outnumber children for the first time in U.S. history by the year 2034. Population growth slowing as the population ages. Demographers also project a more diverse population, more people identifying as two or more races, and they say by next year, no single race group will make up more than half of U.S. children. There's a good chance you're not happy at work.
Results of a new poll conducted by Gallup suggest that more than half of Americans don't like what they do for work. While 4 out of 10 people surveyed say their job they have is good, 44% think their current employment is meh. Nearly 1/5 of people say their job is bad. A quarter of African American and Hispanic workers reported their job was bad, which was twice as high as the responses from white workers.
Fox's Eben Brown. Shipping costs eating into Amazon's bottom line. The online giant posting weaker third quarter profit than expected, saying the push for faster deliveries cost more than first thought. However, revenue still beat the street, up 24% to nearly $70 billion. Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. In a follow-up to a story from yesterday regarding the location of a missing Webster City man, it has now been confirmed that 38-year-old J.D. Winecoop was found dead. His wife confirmed his death late last night in a Facebook post in which she said, quote, "He went home to Jesus." She offered no further details on his death, but went on to say, quote, "Thank you for allowing us to grieve this terrible loss." There will be a Fort Dodge City Council forum tonight at 6 p.m. at Friendship Haven Celebration Center. The forum will feature the city council candidates answering questions from the public regarding issues important to the community. From Radio Iowa, we're less than 2 weeks away from Election Day, and Iowa Secretary of State Paul Pate is reminding voters they'll need identification when heading to the polls for city and school board elections on November 5th. Pate says last year's soft rollout of the voter ID program was successful.
Voters got it. We had a record voter turnout, and we just want to make sure we got the I's dotted, T's crossed, and people get the gist of it. Bring your driver's license, or you can get your free voter ID card from your county auditor.
Other forms of ID that will be accepted include a U.S. passport, a military or veterans ID, and a tribal ID card. Pate says 94% of the Iowans who are registered to vote have a driver's license they can use at the polls. If you do not have a driver's license and you haven't received a voter ID card, Pate says one call should fix you up.
Well, if they're already registered, it's real simple. They just got to give a call to the county auditor, and they'll take care of it for them.
Voter ID laws have been a political issue for years, but Pate argues it brings integrity to our state's elections.
You don't put a new lock on the house after the burglar steals something from your home. So when it comes to voter ID, it's a natural protection, if you will. And I'm very proud to be able to tell people in Iowa, we've got your back covered when it comes to the integrity of our elections.
A Polk County judge recently upheld a majority of the state's voter ID law, stating that the requirement for voters to show identification at the polls does not violate the state's constitution.
The judge came down with his ruling, and he indicated that voter ID was the law of the land. Out of 35 pages, he had 5 sentences he removed, so I think that's pretty clear, and so we're ready to operate on that.
For more information, visit votereadyiowa.org. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Mainly sunny this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 45. Northwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows level off around 27. Tonight, clear skies. Sunny skies and calm again. Tomorrow, 51. Mid-50s Saturday, turning much cooler on Sunday with highs in the upper 40s. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 46.
You work hard, and you deserve to get the most for your money. Like health insurance coverage with the largest, most accessible networks, so you can choose where you want to go for care. Like having multiple plans, so you can choose the coverage that works best for you. Mostly, you deserve to have the health insurance expertise Iowans have been trusting for over 80 years. Wellmark Blue Cross and Blue Shield. To find the small business or individual plan that's right for you, talk to your local agent about Wellmark today. Get started at wellmark.com.
You could win a pair of premium tickets to an Iowa Hawkeye football game from the Iowa Lottery. 17 winners will receive a prize package for the Illinois versus Iowa game on November 23rd. The Kinnick Gridiron giveaway package includes 2 tickets in the new North End Zone Ironman box, plus Iowa Hawkeye and Iowa Lottery merchandise, $100 spending cash, and more. Enter the Kinnick Gridiron giveaway online today with a current Iowa Powerball ticket. For rules and complete details, visit ialottery.com.
Real travel is life-changing. With Trafalgar, you'll discover the best way to travel and connect with the culture, people, and places you visit. You'll travel with the freedom to discover and the confidence to explore. With over 300 trips on all 7 continents, you get real experiences that you won't find elsewhere. These are just a few of the greatest travel stories you'll ever tell. Save up to 10% on trips. Terms and conditions apply. Visit your travel agent or Trafalgar.com. Trafalgar, simply the best.
Line Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at jmike1400.
All right, it's AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. Good afternoon. You're on the air with the mayor. You're the first call of the day. Oh, you're out of here. Well, we didn't want to talk to you anyway. Telemarketer, I guess, Matt.
I don't know.
I usually get kind of obscene with those folks when they call me in my private line. Tends to, I had a guy with a real accent a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Telling me he was a U.S. federal
IRS?
federal marshal.
Federal marshals.
But he was.
That's a good one. He's
in service to the IRS, and I owed millions or thousands or something in back taxes. And I said, "Wait a minute, you're a federal marshal?" The guy really was speaking broken English. You know?
Yeah.
And I don't know, it got pretty obscene after that. Anyway, Mayor Matt Bremrick is in the studio. He makes himself available and has for several years. He makes himself available at this time so you can ask a question about what's happening with the city or any concerns in your neighborhood. All those things are good. By the way, See Click Fix. If you haven't got that phone app, that's a great phone app. I See Click Fixed in just the other day, and they haven't quite got to it yet. But usually when I've done that in the past, somebody comes around with in a few days and takes care of the problem. So that's I've learned to appreciate it. Anyway, 515-955-1400, 515-955-1400. If you have a question or a comment, it's all okay. So tonight, at the in the celebration room of Friendship Haven, we're having a candidate forum, and it's being run by Sharon Hickey's group. I believe, gosh darn it, and she's told me a couple times, Webster People Acting Responsibly or something. I can never, I haven't quite got it in my head what the name of the group is.
I'm not sure.
But I really like her forums. They're not debates, they're forums.
Mm-hmm.
And Sharon's very good at keeping things under control.
Yeah.
I don't like those things we have out at Iowa Central where we have to write questions and their questions
You
are
don't
submitted.
like those, huh?
No, I don't. And I know why they do it is to keep people from disrupting the event and ruining it for everybody. And
right.
And I get that. But I wish we had more forums, frankly, by Sharon's people. They seem to be more informative. I personally think a lot more information is put out by her group rather than the more controlled events.
Structured events.
Right. They're overly structured, it seems to me. Anyway, I hope there's a big turnout tonight at the Celebration Center of the Friendship Haven because, well, this stuff's getting real here. I thought we would have a civil discussion. What a fool I was. We would have some sort of civil discussion on whether we should get into broadband service. It's
right.
What Spencer has it. A number of other.
Are you saying that it's become
getting nasty, buddy?
It's getting nasty.
You're getting a little nasty. It's about to get nasty.
I haven't had anybody approach me telling me absolutely not, don't do it. I know there's people on the internet that have, on Facebook or social
media. But they're trolls.
I mean, just because you have a difference of opinion in me doesn't make you a troll. But I mean,
yes, it does.
No, it does not.
You have a different opinion than me. You're a troll.
Yeah,
and never me.
Okay, that's Mike's sentiment.
That's Mike's
sentiment.
But
I've read a few of the comments, and
right.
I mean, I know people fear government taking control of certain things and competing with the private
that's
sector.
The whole scare
and
tactic.
I'm not always a big fan of government. I mean, heck, there's been times I've been a supporter of privatizing parts of government, and then there's times I've been supporter of government needs to play a role in certain things. It just kind of depends on the scenario and what's going on, and is there really truly a service providing good quality service to the people? Are we doing it as efficiently as possible? Are we qualified to do things this way or that way? So there's some aspects of government that I think private sector plays a better position in, and there's some parts of our society that government plays good roles in. In trying to marry those up and do it to the best of our ability, I think is what we're trying to accomplish. I mean, it's not like we want to run MediaCom out of business or Frontier out of business.
You're not going to do it.
People will still have that choice.
Yes.
If they choose to still provide that choice, good.
Then
people have
Go
options.
with it.
People have the city as an option or whatever mechanism or whatever we set up. They'd have MediaCom. They got Frontier. There's others as well. So, it's not, in my opinion, I don't think you're wrong if you don't agree with us. You got your opinion. It doesn't match mine. That's okay.
You're very tolerant today, Matt. It's getting on my nerves.
Yeah,
already.
I know you are. You get mad when I am tolerant. Do I think they're right? No. I don't think they're right. I don't think some of the things that I have seen posted by a couple of and I'm not going to market for them the name of their organization, but I think some of the things they're posting is fear-mongering.
Oh, God. You started out by saying
blank checks and
government
stuff like
control.
Yeah.
Well, government's going to seize control of your life, and that brings some people out of the woodwork and their eyes are all crazy and they're
And I know there's people out there that just don't have a lot of trust in government, and they say, hey, I don't want government to do anything more than they're already doing because I don't trust them. That's okay. I get it. Maybe they have a reason they don't like government.
Right.
It's fine.
Well, I can tell you, I was on the Cable Commission 5 years here in town, the early to mid-'90s. And
that was back when we actually had a local franchise.
Yes.
Now, if you go back, I think that was probably the start of the destruction of the local service of the community actually having a voice of that service and the level it was provided at. Because then it just went to, hey, if you got a problem, you got to either file it with the Iowa Utilities Board or you got to call MediaCom. And from what I've always been told, and I personally have not had a lot of problems with MediaCom on a service level. Like if I call and make an appointment, they've shown up. Now, do I have spotty internet? Yeah, I've had some issues with service coming in and out and dropping and things like that. And you also have people that don't know how to use their technology, too.
I want to back up with you just for a minute.
Okay.
You said you make an appointment and they show up and it's all cool. Don't they give you one of those 4-hour windows?
Sure. Yeah.
That doesn't bother you.
I could not run Bemrick Electric that way.
That's
I couldn't tell you.
You couldn't run any business that way.
I couldn't tell you, okay, Mike, you wanted us to come fix your electric that's out in your kitchen, your microwave don't work or whatever, and I have no power, and I've tried to reset the breaker, it don't work. If I said, we'll be there sometime in the next 4 hours, you wouldn't be very happy with me. And you probably would never call back.
That's right. Well,
so typically we do appointments in an hourly window. So we know this guy's going to this place. He's roughly probably an hour there. So we'll schedule him from 8 to 9, and then we tell you he'll be there right around 9 in the morning. If he knows he's running late, he's going to call the office. The office is going to call you and say, hey, he's going to be closer to 9:30.
Right.
It's not going to
We have cell phones after all.
Yeah, I know.
All of us.
So I think they could be better at that, sure. But I get that's their business model. That's how they run it. I've never had them not show up. I've had people call me and say, I've made 3 appointments and they didn't show up. I've never had that happen.
I have to tell you, I'm completely dissatisfied with their business model. You can say it's their business model, but that is a company that cries out for competition. If they're going to treat people that way, they don't care much about their customers. And as you just said, if Bemrick Electric did that, people would quickly get the idea that your company didn't care much about their customers. And they'd be right. AM 1400 KVFD, good afternoon. You're on the air with the mayor.
Well, I got a question. MediaCom is a franchise, right? With the city?
They have a statewide franchise. They do not have a franchise with the city.
Oh, so you can't cut them off by cutting off their franchise then, huh?
No, and that was, I believe, in the early 2000s or like 2002 maybe, they eliminated all local franchises and went to a statewide franchise agreement. That was approved by the state.
Well, that sort of sucks.
Yeah, and as I was pointing out to Mike, I really think that's when the service levels dropped.
It had to.
Yeah.
Because there was no local voice that MediaCom had to answer to. They didn't have to come to the Cable Commission. They didn't have to answer to the city government. They had to deal with the Iowa Utility Board. And people just calling in.
I'm lucky I live outside of town. We got Webster, Calhoun, and boy, if you got a problem, they're right there.
Yeah, and I've heard that. Yep.
And the service level, the product delivered to your home is much better. For God's sake, Lauraville, a town of 400 people, is getting fiber optic. It seems like all the little towns around us have great fiber optic
Well, have
service.
you ever seen the map that we have that shows where fiber is? We basically are a donut hole.
Well,
Yeah, because
we are completely surrounded by fiber optics, except for in the city proper.
I had fiber for probably about 10 years now.
You've had fiber optic for 10 years?
Yeah, probably pretty close to that.
Well, you're a lot more fortunate than most of the people who live in Fort Dodge.
Yeah. I mean, there's some businesses that definitely have fiber to their front doors. And there's different types of packages I believe you can buy through both Mediacom and Frontier to serve business and industry that may be not available to the average homeowner, or the price point would be so bad that you would never pay that for your own personal use. But yeah, the average household is looking for that broadband speed, and we're hearing from them they're not getting it. So we're coming to the voters and saying, hey, you decide, should the city get into this business? And that's what the voters will decide on November 5th.
Well, you probably need to get rid of this big corporation anyway.
Well, now you're singing my song, but hey, thanks a lot.
Thanks for your call.
All right. AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. It was a great moment the other, 3 weeks ago at the Celebration Center, where we had Mediacom people and David Furyk as panelists, because this Mediacom woman says, oh, yeah, we've got top service right across the board. And then came Furyk's chance to speak, and he holds up this graphic that you were just talking about. See, we're in a hole here, and we don't get to see. Completely contradicted the woman.
Yeah.
And she says, where did you get that? And, I'll have to check into that. And I said, you drove up here from Ames, and you didn't know that. That's interesting, That's tremendously interesting.
Well, and I think the simple argument is we wouldn't have been at a forum talking about that if the public wasn't screaming something's wrong with our internet service.
That's exactly the point. And this should be a wake-up call for Mediacom.
Think back a decade ago, Mike, when we were having all the trash pumps out on the street. We were pumping water out of sanitary sewers and shooting it across streets to the storm sewers just to keep people's basements from flooding. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And we went and we heard the public. They were tired of it. They had been dealing with it for 15, 20 years, some even probably longer. They were tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we put together a comprehensive plan, and over the last decade, when it rains like that now, how many of them trash pumps do you see out?
I don't see any.
None.
Yeah.
Because we responded to them. And I think we're doing the same thing here. It's a different service. It's a different piece of infrastructure than sewers. But we're hearing from the public, we've got a problem. It's not being addressed. So the city stepped up and said, here's the options we have as your local city government to help try to remedy the situation. If the community doesn't want to do it, they can go to the polls and tell us, no, don't do it.
That's right.
Or they can go to the polls and tell
really
us to
the
do it.
only thing this vote November 5th is about is to allow the city to explore our own broadband
No,
service.
it would authorize us to create a broadband utility.
It would authorize the city to create a
The city then still would have to go through the steps to do it. There'd be additional votes at the council table, but before the council can go to those action steps or actually create the utility, they have to have the city's approval. They have to have the voters' approval.
Okay. They have to have the city's approval or the voters' approval?
The voters.
All right. AM 1400 KVFD, good afternoon. You're on the air with the mayor.
Hi, you and the mayor. I for one, I've got a big tall tower behind my home, and I'm about ready to run my TV wire up there because I have horrible service.
Okay.
I tried to call Mediacom, and all I got was someone from the Philippines. Couldn't understand a word I was saying, and I've had enough. Now, I'm going to say this. Dealing with those people is like peeing in the ocean. You get nowhere.
Okay.
Just say it. So do whatever you got to do. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hey, there's an analogy, a metaphor that I could get into. Yeah, peeing in the ocean. There's no doubt. Anyway, yeah, I think that's a vote in favor of broadband or city-owned broadband. Anyway, I think the level of response from Mediacom has been totally misdirected. They are trying to scare people rather than change their habits that got them in trouble in the first place. Rather than vowing to provide better customer service, rather than putting a plan into effect and showing it to us, this is going to happen by February 2020 or any of that, they're running around trying to scare people with this no internet, government internet nonsense. And the idea that your taxes are going to go up. That's dirty pool. I think that's dirty pool.
I mean, it's their choice on how to do
no one's
those
saying
things.
It isn't, but I am pointing out it's wrong.
Here's an interesting thing. If there's an actual organized vote no group out there, which there evidently is because they have a Facebook page.
Yes, they do.
They need to be filed as an actual anti-group underneath the terms of running a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Just like if we had an organized vote for, I mean, other than coming like on your show or getting interviewed by the newspaper, we have no formal group out there going door to door, knocking doors, buying advertising, making phone calls, anything like that. It appears to me that there's an organized effort to stop this from passing.
Yeah,
and if that is being done, they should be filed with the Iowa Ethics and Campaign Disclosure Board. That they are an organized effort to run a campaign because they're running a campaign. If you're running a social media campaign on the internet that says vote no, you're a formal group, in my opinion.
Yes, you are.
You are not Andy Fritz, he's running for office. Nevin Conrad, even Terry Minke, he's running for office right now. He had to go file with the state that he was running the campaign, and he has to disclose to the Iowa Ethics and Campaign Disclosure Board who he's getting his money from. So if there's a nickel spent on any of this, it should be disclosed to the public who is funding it.
Well,
because I think it's kind of being portrayed a little bit from the way I read some of this that this is just a concerned citizen, and I'm not buying that.
Oh, no. This is in Boone, Iowa. The address of this page is in Boone, Iowa, and that's Chip. That's Chip Baltimore.
No, I didn't say that. You did. But
I did.
If it's an organized effort and someone's being paid to do it, it should be filed under the Iowa Campaign Disclosure.
Yeah.
That they are running a campaign. If there's an actual ad that is being shown, it should say who's paying for it.
Well, here's an actual ad from the Taxpayers.
Who paid for that?
Taxpayers Protection Alliance is.
So are they and who funded that? Just them? I mean, if that's the group that funded it, where did they get their money? Who gave it to them? Are they getting it from concerned citizens, or are they getting it from telecom interests?
They're not really being forthcoming. I'll tell you the address of the Taxpayer Protection Alliance is in Washington, D.C.
I know all about them.
Okay.
I'm just trying to be. I'm being like you today. I'm trying to create. I'm giving people just enough information for them to create their own idea of what's going on.
You're a lousy at it.
You
Leave
like
that to me. You were so mellow when you opened up here. I thought I was going to ask you if you smoked a bowl before you got here.
No.
All right.
I am leaning more and more towards this legalization of marijuana, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think it would clear up a lot of space in prisons. It frees up a lot of time for law enforcement, especially on small offenses.
I'll get Representative Scrappy in here. Scrappy was in here earlier in the week.
Yeah.
But and he's kind of my eyes inside the Republican caucus that doesn't want to see marijuana ever legalized. The Governor Reynolds has said that she never wants to see it. It won't happen on her watch, and which I think is just foolish. I do. I don't see what the problem is, frankly. But there's still too many people, according to Mike Sexton, down in his caucus that see marijuana as a gateway drug, and I keep saying that my gateway drug was Greenbelt, and I liked it, which shows you how screwed up I was at the time. Anyway, it's 4:30.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
All right, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. It's 4:30. We'll be back with the mayor after the news as Divine Intervention continues at AM 1400 KVFD.
At Capital One, you can open a new savings account in about 5 minutes and earn 5 times the national average. 5 minutes? That's less time than you spend arguing about how to pronounce GIF.
Wait, GIF or GIF?
Hard G. Less time than you spend trying to stick to your paleo diet.
Resist the carbs. Ooh, brownies.
No brownies. That's about 5 minutes to earn 5 times the national average savings rate. This is banking reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Rate comparison based on FDIC national rate. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Connect to this radio station from all across the country. Tickets to the gym, shopping. How about a road trip? Listen to us now on the free iHeartRadio app. You'll never miss a moment with your favorite radio station. Download the free iHeartRadio app and search for this station so we can go wherever you want us to.
Have you ever wondered how the brain works? What makes us tick? Join me, Greg Woods, every Wednesday morning for all the latest news on the brain, on aging, and the science behind it all. It's The Mind Boggles, every Wednesday morning at 8:30 on AM 1400 KVFD.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
Oh, why not just cremate me when I'm gone?
Sounds simple, doesn't it? However, there are many options to consider when cremation is chosen. From simple to detailed, we at Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services can help you create a unique commemoration.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. In a follow-up to a story from yesterday regarding the location of a missing Webster City man, it has now been confirmed that 38-year-old J.D. Winecoop was found dead. His wife confirmed his death late last night in a Facebook post in which she said, quote, "He went home to Jesus." She offered no further details on his death, but went on to say, quote, "Thank you for allowing us to grieve this terrible loss." There will be a Fort Dodge City Council forum tonight at 6 p.m. at Friendship Haven Celebration Center. The forum will feature the city council candidates answering questions from the public regarding issues important to the community. From Radio Iowa, we're less than 2 weeks away from Election Day, and Iowa Secretary of State Paul Pate is reminding voters they'll need identification when heading to the polls for city and school board elections on November 5th. Pate says last year's soft rollout of the voter ID program was successful.
Voters got it. We had a record voter turnout, and we just want to make sure we got the I's dotted, T's crossed, and people get the gist of it. Bring your driver's license, or you can get your free voter ID card from your county auditor.
Other forms of ID that will be accepted include a U.S. passport, a military or veterans ID, and a tribal ID card. Pate says 94% of the Iowans who are registered to vote have a driver's license they can use at the polls. If you do not have a driver's license and you haven't received a voter ID card, Pate says one call should fix you up.
Well, if they're already registered, it's real simple. They just got to give a call to the county auditor, and they'll take care of it for them.
Voter ID laws have been a political issue for years, but Pate argues it brings integrity to our state's elections.
You don't put a new lock on the house after the burglar steals something from your home. So when it comes to voter ID, it's a natural protection, if you will. And I'm very proud to be able to tell people in Iowa, we've got your back covered when it comes to the integrity of our elections.
A Polk County judge recently upheld a majority of the state's voter ID law, stating that the requirement for voters to show identification at the polls does not violate the state's constitution.
The judge came down with his ruling, and he indicated that voter ID was the law of the land. Out of 35 pages, he had 5 sentences he removed, so I think that's pretty clear, and so we're ready to operate on that.
For more information, visit votereadyiowa.org. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Mainly sunny this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 45. Northwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows level off around 27. Tonight, clear skies. Sunny skies and calm again. Tomorrow, 51. Mid-50s Saturday, turning much cooler on Sunday with highs in the upper 40s. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 47.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South in Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucefuneralhome.com. Mr. William Habhab of Dakota City has passed away at the age of 47. Billy Habhab has died. He was formerly from Fort Dodge. He died yesterday at the Humboldt County Memorial Hospital. Memorial services will be at 2 p.m. on Monday, October 28th at the New Covenant Christian Church here in town with Pastor Michael Carmody officiating. There will be a gathering of family and friends, and that'll be held 1 hour prior to the service. Memorials may be directed to the family. Bruce Funeral Home serving the family. The obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South, Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucefuneralhome.com. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. We'll be talking with Mayor Matt Bemrick in just a few at KVFD.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The major averages closing mixed on the busiest day of corporate earnings season. Among the gainers today, tech companies, which lifted the NASDAQ, while energy and healthcare companies lagged. With the Dow falling 28 points, the NASDAQ up 66, S&P 500 up 6. And shares of Amazon falling after hours after releasing earnings, with its profits falling for the first time in more than 2 years, as the e-commerce giant ramps up spending, including transitioning to one-day delivery for Prime customers and other initiatives. Its holiday sales forecasts were below estimates as they face fierce competition from Walmart as well as other online retailers. And Intel popping after hours after the chip giant's quarterly results, and Outlook topped Wall Street estimates, with its revenue growing again and its data center sales showing an unexpected increase. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head, just over $30,000. That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask like 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. Optima Tax Relief. They're the best in the business.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-410-6744. 800-410-6744.
Optima Tax Relief.
A lot of ads for sales jobs are sugar-coated with all of the money you could potentially make. In reality, you'll make as much as you want to, depending on the effort you put into the job. I'm Chris Ball, Director of Sales at Alpha Media. Alpha Media is looking for a few good people to represent us while helping local businesses develop a successful marketing plan on our 7 radio stations. Experience is preferred, but we'll work with candidates who have a great attitude and want to succeed. For an interview, call me at 955-5656. Alpha Media is an equal opportunity employer.
Blue Ribbon, Pelham Waters, your water pro since 1949.
Do you have questions about your water? What is a whole home filter? Is my softener working or not? Can I get rid of that red stain around the sink? I'm Brian with Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters. We're here to fix problem water. We'll work with you to find the right solution for you. We've been serving the Fort Dodge area since 1949. Let us serve your water treatment needs. Sales, service, rentals. Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters, your complete water store.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
Okay, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. Mayor Matt Bemrick is in the studio, and if you have a question or comment for the mayor, it's 515-955-1400. Of course, we've been talking about whether we should have city broadband or not, and of course, I'm in favor of it. If you've been listening to me for the last week or 10 days, I'm strongly in favor of pursuing city-owned broadband.
As am I.
As mayor is. And if you have questions, the best place to go tonight is at 6 o'clock at the Friendship Haven at the Celebration Center.
I hope people get out and go to that.
I do, too.
They are good, informative things to learn more about the candidates. We were talking a little bit earlier. Former Councilman Andy Fritz, who was on the council a long time, and I think he came on halfway through my first term as a council member, and he was on there the whole time I was a council member, as well as the first 2 terms I was mayor. And I would encourage people to get out and vote, and I would encourage you to vote for Andy. Andy's always been a very good council member, works hard, very level-headed. He's the only person I can recall ever grabbing the gavel out of my hand and gaveling me for arguing with someone at the table. He said, "Okay, that's enough," and he grabbed the gavel off the table and rapped it at me and another person that were arguing. But I very rarely ever say how I would vote personally, but I'm telling you today, if I could vote for Andy and I lived in that ward, I would.
Yeah, well, I was considering endorsing him, but then I thought if I endorsed him, I'd sink his chances. So I'm staying neutral. But you're endorsing Andy.
I've known Andy a long time. He's a good guy. I think he served our community very well when he was previously on the council, and he's back to try to help again. And I would encourage the voters in his ward to get out and vote for Andy.
He'll be a great choice for Ward 2 council.
I think so.
He will be. Yeah. How long was he on? 2 terms as council at large?
2 4-year terms, I believe.
Okay. Was he a ward councilman before then?
No. I think he was always at large.
Okay.
I think he served 2 4-year terms. He went for a third one, and that's when Lydia and Jeff got in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Lydia got in there. Andy, of
Lydia
course,
was the highest vote getter.
Yeah, she was.
Lydia was,
well,
yeah.
Lydia had a little help from your friends there, and the Wizard of Oz. And
whatever.
Turning out the Catholic Mafia for Lydia.
Okay, whatever.
All right, let's go to the phones. AM 1400 KVFD, good afternoon. You're on the air with the mayor.
Yeah, I was asking, but wanted to know about that road that down along the river that goes from from the Great Western Bridge to the sewage plant.
Yep.
Has been closed for so long. Why can't they take some of that stuff that's from the like sidewalks and all that has been? Why can't they dump some of that in there to build that road up?
I've talked about that road with some folks with the city engineers and some others. I just think every time we've spent money trying to do something there, it's washed away or has been destroyed. It's just a really poor foundation for a road. It would take some significant money to do it.
But why can't they dump their concrete and stuff in there free to build it up?
Well, we do take all of our concrete, recycle it, and use it for projects already. So that would mean that we would have to use that concrete down there, and then we'd have to buy either recycled concrete or rock to replace that because we use everything we get.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't realize that.
It's pretty rare that we have any extra laying around.
Oh, because I see out there by Kimes, they dump stuff out there all the time.
Yeah. We have some stockpiles for sure, but then we try to save that for when we have a very large project or other projects. So if the council said, let's fix that road, we definitely could use some of that gravel and some of the recycled concrete to do things like that.
Well, I was just trying to save the taxpayers some money,
Oh, yeah. We're very active in recycling of materials.
Oh, okay.
Very active.
Oh, thank you very much, sir.
Sure.
And thank you very much. AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. 515-955-1400 if you have a question or comment for the mayor. I do want to talk, and I've talked about this the last several days. We have 2 things facing us right now of prime importance, I think. And one of them we've been discussing. And if anybody has a further question about city-owned broadband, certainly, God, I just love that.
Got a phone call.
Yeah, from Alabaster, Alabama.
You forgot to put it on vibrate.
I did. I forgot to put it on vibrate. I'll take care of that right now. But anyway, the city broadband is big right now. And we should have all the information, make an informed vote. Yep. Now, we're not going to get it from this no government internet site. I'll tell you that right now. But if anybody has a question about broadband, feel free to call and ask the mayor about it. But the other major problem we have right now is crime. And I don't think it's a freakish event that we've had so much brutal crime recently. Certainly, I'm still sick when I think about what happened to Pastor Henderson. And we had the very next day when we were grieving for Pastor Henderson, we had reports that some fools were shooting up the St. Edmund school district.
Well, they were
in the neighborhood,
in that apartment complex to the north. Yeah.
I didn't mean in the school district. They were in the neighborhood. And then, of course, there was a murder last Friday night out by Tom Thumb on the west side of the city. We're going to have to go with the phones. AM 1400 KVFD, good afternoon. You're on the air with the mayor.
Yeah, if you get marijuana passed, can a city employee smoke it without getting fired?
Oh, you're
I don't know.
You're sitting over there on the west side getting high right now.
That's a great question. I don't know.
I think they do already. They all look like they're pretty happy to me. What do you think?
Wow, will they get fired for using it or not?
I don't know. I can't answer that question today.
Well, the mayor's there.
Yeah, I know. I am the mayor. I'm telling you, I'm not going to answer that question. I don't know. If it's legal in the state of Iowa and you smoked it, if the drug policy at the city said you cannot smoke it, then you can't smoke it. If you signed it and agreed that you would not use it, then you could not do it.
Yeah, why?
It's the same thing in Colorado. If you work for XYZ company and it might be legal in Colorado, but if you work for a company that has a drug policy and you sign it agreeing you will not use marijuana and you use it, they could fire you.
Right.
It's still that way in Colorado.
I mean, they can't have a couple of beers during the lunch hour. I mean, especially if
I think one of the biggest problems with marijuana is the fact that there's not a testing procedure to say whether you smoked it 5 minutes ago or yesterday. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they can detect it.
Oh, now you're just being argumentative.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It can be tested, but I don't think it can be tested in the same way as using alcohol, that whether or not you smoked that 5 minutes ago or yesterday.
Yeah, but if it's in your system.
I understand that. I think that's part of the problem. That's why employers are still sticking to their guns, that if you sign your drug policy, you cannot smoke marijuana, even if it's legal to smoke in that state.
Have you ever in your life, sir, drank alcohol?
What?
Have you ever drank alcohol?
Yeah.
What kind do you like? Beer, bourbon, what?
Oh, I used to drink beer.
You used to drink, you don't drink it anymore?
No.
Why don't you drink it anymore?
I found better things to do.
What, are you smoking weed over there now?
Nope.
Okay, what better things did you find?
Living life.
You're high on life? Good for you, man.
Smelling the roses.
And did you ever drink too much and get drunk?
Yeah.
What was the first thing about you that got drunk? Was it your legs or your hands or what? Because the first thing that all my friends used to say, Divine, the first thing about you that gets drunk is your mouth. We can hear you 10 miles away. You don't believe that, do you?
The interesting thing is he aged and he must still be drunk.
Yeah.
Because we can still hear him from 10 miles away.
Actually, when I get on this thing, it's 60 miles.
Yeah, I don't get.
Hey, thanks for your call, okay? AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Down. I haven't heard High on Life for a while, but okay. All right.
Smelling the roses.
I'm smelling the roses. I'm good with that. But anyway, so we do need to do something about our homeless problem, which contributes to crime. We need to do something about crime in general. There are certain neighborhoods, mine, for example, that are high crime areas. Cameras have been suggested in certain hot spots in town.
I don't disagree with cameras. I think they got to be strategic. I think they need to be easily moved. I think there's different ways to approach cameras, both openly showing that there's cameras in areas, and I think there's covert cameras that can be used in areas where you're trying to monitor people that are you know or are believed to be either selling drugs or doing things they're not supposed to be doing.
Yeah, well, selling drugs is always going to go on, and I'm not advocating it, of course, but I'm more interested in seeing somebody's got a gun. We have too many people who shouldn't have guns walking around with them. I have a open
well,
carry
I mean,
permit.
I'm not a supporter of government. A lot of times what happens with gun control, in my opinion, and boy, this is an interesting
I'm not going down the gun control
for me and you, but I'm not a big fan of, we talked about doing a gun buyback. We checked on doing a gun buyback. what kind of results have other people gotten? They typically end up with like Grandpa Fred's musket that's got a broken stock and the
Why were you
barrel's
talking about
rusted
doing
up.
a gun buyback?
Just because we were just brainstorming ideas.
Oh.
What can we do to help with gun violence, with crime in general? And we've got a little committee kind of made up that we've been brainstorming different ideas.
An anti-gun committee?
No. God, I'm a pro-gun guy, for the love of God. I own guns.
Yeah, I get
mine
real
mine are
suspicious.
typically hunting guns, but anyways, so we've been brainstorming things like that, and cameras is always a conversation. But one of the neater things that has been tossed around there is creating some programs, because a lot of the changes, and these are youth programs, a lot of the changes that we need to happen are going to be things that take time. Some of the things that we can do in the immediate, cameras, increasing rewards. Hopefully we can increase some rewards for people working with our Crime Stoppers. There's different things we can do in the short term, and I think a lot of that stuff's in action or trying to be done right now. And then there's long-term effects, and some of those things are identifying kids that might need additional help in their life.
Sure,
because they don't have the educational skills that they're getting behind in school, and then all of a sudden they get to a certain age and they just feel like, well, I don't have a lot of other options here. So there's things like that. There's having good quality housing available to families that are struggling. Having a good, safe place to live is an important part of having a good, safe community. How do you do that? How do you... and I'm not saying I'm sitting here today with the answers. I'm saying that those are the kind of things we're going to have to work on and identify over time. In the immediate, I think some tough love in our community is definitely warranted for some of these folks that are people that are they're not folks, they're just bad people doing bad things. I mean, some tough love really needs to happen, and that is not always popular. It's sometimes looked at as people are getting picked on, and then they're crying that the police are always over in this neighborhood driving around, or they're always over here doing this or that thing. I mean, sometimes, if that's where the problems are, that's where we got to be.
That's right, absolutely.
And if
Melvin
we're
Newsom
knocking on the
had
same,
a rather unusual idea.
Yeah.
He just believed that in the black community anyway, they should be able to solve their own problems.
I don't necessarily know that, and I think I said this on your show, because he alluded that, he could go wherever and knock on a door and figure out who did what.
Out. Well,
I
I
invite him. If he wants to do that, he should just go do that. Because I think it's wrong to say he could do that, but he's only willing to do it if he's elected to a position. I find that not to be
cool.
Right.
Not to be cool. You have any other endorsements to make?
Nope.
You have you endorsed Andy, which is a good endorsement. I want to say again, I'm not endorsing Andy because I don't want to screw up his chances. But Andy's a solid guy, and Dave Flattery is also.
I think Nevin Conrad's been a great council member.
He's a sharp young man.
He's sharp.
He is a sharp
works
young
hard.
man.
I appreciate the efforts he's put in on the council. I don't know if that's an endorsement, but I would definitely share those thoughts with you. And Minky and also don't have an opponent.
I think we should throw them
Dave
out.
Flattery and I have been on the same page on so many things. I think it's pretty obvious that I think Dave's doing a great job. So there you go.
See, when
There's
I go
my
out to that
thoughts.
forum tonight at the Friendship Haven, Richard Higgins is going to be up my nose about that.
About what? Me saying that about Flattery?
Flattery, yeah.
I mean, I
That's
don't
okay.
think anybody would be surprised that Dave Flattery and I are pretty close.
I think
we
Dave's a
care.
great guy.
We've both tried to champion a lot of the exact same things
That's
for
right.
years, and Dave's been on that council a long time too.
I am
so
very-
Dave and I walking lock and step together on projects should not be a surprise to people.
I'm impressed by Dave's unabashed love for his hometown. I really
He
am.
loves Fort Dodge.
He loves
and
Fort
he
Dodge.
just wants to do what's right by our community in the best way he possibly can as a council member to help foster those things along.
Oh, I think, and he's done a great job so far.
Mhm.
He's probably been on the council 10 years, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, he was at large. I think 2 terms, and I think he's been in the ward I think he's 12 years.
12 years, longer than you then.
No, he got on midterm.
Well, you were a councilman.
I was
4
a
years.
council member before I was the mayor.
Right.
For 4 years.
So you've been there 12 years in some capacity.
Yeah, well, more than that, 14.
Oh, really?
14? Well, 4-year terms, and this is my third term as mayor. So at the end of this, it will be 12 years as mayor, and then 4 years on the council will make 16 years in office.
We've been doing this almost 11 years.
We have.
Wow.
We started in like February of my first year, so like this February we'll be celebrating our 11th birthday together.
That's a little frightening, isn't it?
It is. I had less gray hair. You had more.
I had more hair. My hair was darker 11 years ago, by the way. And my beard went from...
So was mine.
My beard went from this real attractive silver color to Santa Claus white. So I don't grow...
Is that why you haven't been growing?
I haven't. Yeah, I've been kind of getting... I had a...
Are you going to grow that for Christmas time this year?
I don't know. I looked like such a Santa Claus last year.
That's funny.
That I just don't know. You know, I had a mustache most of my adult life.
Another big thing, we got off topic, and you and I are terrible about doing that. Another big thing is mental health.
Oh, yes.
And I know there's been a lot of conversation about mental health, and I got a hats off to Campbell over at the county has really been trying to
Mark?
Mark has really been shaking some trees, asking some very poignant questions, and pushing the envelope both on a regional level and at a state level on what are we going to do about mental health. So I think we've got some champions there, and really the front lines of mental health right now seems to be law enforcement and first responders. And I say first responders, I'm talking about everybody from a paramedic, firefighters, police officers. They seem to be the front lines of mental health right now because there's just not enough access out there. There was an article just in the paper the other day, one of the papers that I read, I think it was 70%, it might have been 70 or 80% of incarcerated females in the state of Iowa have a mental health issue.
And probably drug problems.
And that is leading to that incarceration rate.
Yeah.
So,
Jim Stubbs talks
we've got to
about...
do something about mental health.
Yeah, Jim Stubbs talks about that, is that he and his people wind up being...
mental health provider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they're supposed to be law enforcement people, and they're supposed to run a jail as part of their job. But a lot of people they have in jail are, wow. You know,
Mike took a video of me here a little bit ago talking about Andy, and I'm dressed like a Bemrick Electric contractor today for sure.
It's on my Facebook page.
I don't look much like the mayor today. I'm not mayor dressed today. I'm in Bemrick Electric dress.
Well,
today,
frankly, I haven't seen you in a coat and tie many times over the years.
Well, I put them on.
When you get sworn in, sure you do.
No, I've worn them to plenty of things. When I wear them when I go to D.C. I
well,
wear them when we've got certain dignitaries around for certain things because it's kind of the protocol. But I kind of like to consider, I'm a blue collar guy just like most people in this community. I work for a living every day, and I've got blue jeans and a Bemrick hoodie and a ball cap on. I had a hard hat on 3 different times today. If I take this hat off, I look like a real weirdo. My hair's all goofy.
Well, we're not a college town. We're a working town.
We're a blue collar town.
Blue collar town, always have been.
Mm-hmm.
Most towns in Iowa are, except the People's Republic of Iowa City and Ames.
I thought it was the People's Republic of Johnson County.
Actually, it is.
Oh, you've narrowed that down.
No. I started to engage with a retired Iowa City professor, Larry Baker, who's also an author, and I've had him on the air with me a couple times. He's a great guy. But he's a totally Iowa City guy.
That's all right.
Yeah, it is all right. He's a real good guy, and
talking to people of different opinions is not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. I post on his Facebook page every now and then, and of course he's for Mayor Pete, and I still can't pronounce Mayor Pete's last name. Buttigieg. Is that right? Buttigieg.
Close.
You're close enough for this town. Well. Yeah,
he's moving up in the polls.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He is.
I like Mayor Pete. Yeah, I've met him. He's a nice guy.
He's all right.
I shuffled a guy out of his event down at Isaac Walton, remember?
You did, didn't you? Bouncer Bemrick.
Yeah, you gave me a lot of crap about that.
Well, it was fun. You're right on the front page of the paper. Look out on Matt Bemrick. Thank you, Matt.
See ya.
All right, 5 o'clock. Thanks for listening.
From tuning an engine to replacing a fuse, you can learn it all under the hood. Heard every Saturday afternoon from 2 till 4 on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD.
He's calling it a rogue action. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. South Carolina Republican Lindsey Graham pushing for a change in the Senate in the impeachment probe of President Trump.
A day after House Republicans staged a protest and delayed testimony in the impeachment inquiry, Senate Republicans introduced a resolution condemning the House Democrats' process.
We're not telling the House you can't impeach the president. What we're telling the House, 41 of us, that there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it.
South Carolina Republican Lindsey Graham's resolution calls for a vote on an impeachment inquiry in the House and mechanisms to allow the president to present witnesses. House Democrats say closed-door testimony is required at this stage. Transcripts will be released and open hearings are planned for the future.
Fox's Jared Halpern on Capitol Hill. As the wildfire threat continues in California, the state's largest utility has turned off power again. They say to stop the spread of fire, but that plan is being blasted by the governor.
Earlier this week, California Governor Gavin Newsom wrote a scathing letter to PG&E's president about power shutoffs to thousands of Northern Californians, telling him that the utilities failed. Thursday, Newsom said that the utility cannot blame these wildfires solely on climate change.
It's about corporate greed meeting climate change. It's about decades of mismanagement. It's about focusing on shareholders and dividends over you and members of the public.
PG&E's equipment has been blamed for some of the state's most recent and deadly wildfires. Newsom said to the other utilities who are shutting off power in Southern California that despite meeting with them regularly, they clearly don't get it.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Wall Street at the close. Stocks turned in a mixed finish as big gains by tech companies were offset by losses in healthcare, communication services, and other sectors. The Dow fell 28, the Nasdaq rose 66, the S&P added 5 points. America is listening to Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. In a follow-up to a story from yesterday regarding the location of a missing Webster City man, it has now been confirmed that 38-year-old J.D. Winecoop was found dead. His wife confirmed his death late last night in a Facebook post in which she said, quote, "He went home to Jesus." She offered no further details on his death, but went on to say, quote, "Thank you for allowing us to grieve this terrible loss." There will be a Fort Dodge City Council forum tonight at 6 p.m. at Friendship Haven Celebration Center. The forum will feature the city council candidates answering questions from the public regarding issues important to the community. From Radio Iowa, we're less than 2 weeks away from Election Day, and Iowa Secretary of State Paul Pate is reminding voters they'll need identification when heading to the polls for city and school board elections on November 5th. Pate says last year's soft rollout of the voter ID program was successful.
Voters got it. We had a record voter turnout, and we just want to make sure we got the I's dotted, T's crossed, and people get the gist of it. Bring your driver's license, or you can get your free voter ID card from your county auditor.
Other forms of ID that will be accepted include a U.S. passport, a military or veterans ID, and a tribal ID card. Pate says 94% of the Iowans who are registered to vote have a driver's license they can use at the polls. If you do not have a driver's license and you haven't received a voter ID card, Pate says one call should pick you up.
Well, if they're already registered, it's real simple. They just got to give a call to the county auditor, and they'll take care of it for them.
Voter ID laws have been a political issue for years, but Pate argues it brings integrity to our state's elections.
You don't put a new lock on the house after the burglar steals something from your home. So when it comes to voter ID, it's a natural protection, if you will. And I'm very proud to be able to tell people in Iowa, we've got your back covered when it comes to the integrity of our elections.
A Polk County judge recently upheld a majority of the state's voter ID law, stating that the requirement for voters to show identification at the polls does not violate the state's constitution.
The judge came down with his ruling, and he indicated that voter ID was the law of the land. Out of 35 pages, he had 5 sentences he removed, so I think that's pretty clear, and so we're ready to operate on that.
For more information, visit votereadyiowa.org. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's the Dave Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. Thank you for joining us, America. We're glad you're here. 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. Starting off this hour is Jerry Chris in Texas. Hi, Jerry Chris. How are you?
Hi, Dave. I'm good. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
So my husband lost his job 4 months ago, but we had a fully funded emergency fund, so we were good. We were covered. It was awesome. He did the Ken Coleman way and started reaching out to all of his friends. He found a friend that had a company that was looking to hire here in San Antonio. We had dreamed about moving to San Antonio, so it all worked out really well. But our emergency fund had to cover the move because it was a contract to hire is what he got offered, so they didn't cover any moving costs. So our emergency fund is depleted, and our house is under contract, and it's going to close on the 31st of this month, so next week, which is great.
Yeah.
We should get about maybe a little over $150,000 in equity.
Cool. What's your husband going to be making?
Well, right now he makes $120,000, but it's $120,000. Sorry, it's contract to hire.
I got that. So he's on 1099, right?
Yes.
He's technically self-employed. So what was he making before?
95.
Oh, this is wonderful. What a blessing.
This is. But they are talking about taking him on full time.
That'll be awesome.
When they take him on full time, they might offer less than $95,000 what he was making before.
Well, I might not take it.
Yeah. we're just kind of at this point where we're just not sure what to do moving forward with buying a new house. We followed your advice, and we are in a rental so that we can learn the city and know the layout. We're in a rental for a year.
Just park your equity in a money market account until this job thing gets settled and until your lease runs. What'd you do, a 6-month lease?
No, we had to do a year.
Okay. Well, you got a year then.
Okay.
The job will settle down. You'll be able to qualify for a mortgage without any trouble when the job settles down, and you'll have your equity in an account, right? And you'll use some of it to put your emergency fund back.
Right. And then the question also is, we were really hoping the equity in this that we would get out of the house would buy us a new house, but a $140,000 house is not as great of a house as we were hoping for, and we need to buy in downtown San Antonio because that's close to where he works. So taking out a mortgage or not is another question.
I've been to San Antonio a bunch of times. It ain't that freaking big. You have to live in downtown San Antonio. You can live in the burbs around San Antonio and be downtown 20 minutes.
Right, absolutely. We like downtown.
Okay, that's better. That's better. He needs to for his job is BS. I like downtown is okay.
So how much of our dream, what do we settle? We just keep going back and forth. And the last time we bought a house,
You got a
we went
year
back
to
and
decide.
forth. Okay.
You've been there 20 minutes and you like downtown. Great. By this time next year, you may not.
Okay.
Shop around, learn the real estate markets, look at a bunch of properties. Let me tell you what happens with decisions that are big decisions. The more options you have, the more power you have. The more options you have, the more likely it is that the bad ideas are going to stand out like a sore thumb and the good ideas are going to stick their head up, and it's going to be very, very obvious how God's speaking to you. When you only have two options and they're both bad, that means you don't have enough options. You need to find, and so the way you do this is you just go look at real estate. Your hobby for the next year is learn this town. Learn what's selling where for what. Learn the vibe of the neighborhoods. Learn the traffic patterns and the flow, how long it's going to take him to get to work. Oh, that particular artery stopped up every morning at his drive time. Forget that. Take the 45 minutes to do a 10-mile run. I don't want to fool with that. That sounds like L.A. or something. No, thank you. This is San Antonio, And just kind of learn the town, get the vibe of it, get the pulse of the town, and say, okay, I got, write down, have 5 or 6 different neighborhoods and price ranges that are options. But in no case are you going to buy something where your payment is more than a fourth of your take-home pay on a 15-year fixed after you put your down payment down. But just take your time. You're okay. You got time. But work the system. Get some options. You gotta have a lot of different ways of looking at things, and then all of a sudden you'll go, oh, there it is. It's like, when you're job hunting, if you have one possible person trying to hire you, well, that looks pretty good until you got somebody wanting to hire you for more. And then you got somebody wanting a better situation and another better situation. So you get like 3 or 4 different job offers because you got out there and dug around, scratched around, got some options. All of a sudden you got a lot of power as you consider this. Options give you power. They give you margin. They give you your emotional rest. You have peace from them. And that's what you're going to do here. Good job. You guys are going to be in great shape. This is going to turn into a huge blessing. Michelle is with us in Ohio. Hi, Michelle. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
My husband and I are going round and round on a decision.
Okay.
We have paid off about $180,000 over the last 4 or 5 years.
Way to go.
And we are down to our mortgage and an $19,000 second mortgage to be paid off. We have our emergency fund, but the question is, we're at that point. Do we put back the 3 to 6 months?
Do I have
income?
the power to answer this question?
He's sitting right here.
I know. I'm asking you. Are you wanting to follow our system, or are you just wanting to go round and round?
Well, I know what your system says, but here's the other thing: we're looking to sell the house in 3 to 5 years.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Why would you keep a mortgage just because you're going to sell the house?
I guess for my safety or my security.
Your safety? Your security?
No, not safety.
You've been 4 and 5 years paying off $180,000 so you could get safety and security. You're right at the edge of the finish line. You need to bust through the tape. If your second mortgage is less than half your annual household income, it goes in baby step 2, and you're still in baby step 2.
Okay. Well, okay.
It's only $18,000.
Yeah, the second mortgage, so get that paid off.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we were debating. I was saying take half of what we have available to put towards the second mortgage and half towards our 3 to 6 months.
But you can do that. You can make up your plan if you want to. I don't care. You're
but
welcome.
That's not the best plan.
No, I'm not. I'm not mad at you. It might be a better plan. I don't know. It's just not my plan.
Okay.
If you want to do your plan, it's okay. That's cool. But our plan is real clear. The second mortgage, if it's less than half your annual household income, goes in your baby step 2. But if you want to do, Sarah's plan or, Michelle's plan, that's okay. I'm not mad at you for that. That's why I asked you if I had the power to make the decision. So it's okay either way. That's why you're going around and around, is you're trying to decide which is the smartest way. And I think this is the smartest way. So there you go. Thanks for the call. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. Do you know who is a prime target for identity theft? Your children. Kids have no debts or credit history. Their personal information is just as easy to get, but the theft could go completely undetected for years. Every day all over the country, young adults are starting down their own path in life by opening a bank account or renting their first apartment, only to find out that they somehow already have credit card debt, a mortgage, or even a criminal record. It's devastating, but it can be fixed when you have an ID theft protection plan from Zander Insurance. They monitor all personal info for the entire family, and they take over all the work if you become a victim. Best of all, your kids are covered for free on their family plan. Call them at 800-356-4282 or visit Zander.com. It's just the smarter, more affordable way to protect your entire family. And it's the only plan I provide to my team. Zander.com or 800-356-4282.
Two of my favorite things are pizza and my bed, thanks to my Tufted Needle mattress. But a new favorite thing has entered my life. That's right. I absolutely love my Tufted Needle pillows. Amazing. I just ordered 2 of their foam pillows, and I didn't think it was possible, but my sleep got even better. But listen, if you're one of the smart ones who's already taken my advice and gotten your mattress, go back to tn.com and check out their pillows, sheets, and duvets. You'll fall even more in love with Tufted Needle. That's tn.com.
I've been telling you guys about e-meals for almost 11 years now. E-meals saves my listeners time and money. I'm talking around 2 hours a week and an average